This is Daisy. She's gonna help sing the hello song with me. You're gonna help me? I'm glad you came today. I'm glad you came today. Hello to everyone. I'm glad you came today. We'll have some fun today. We'll have some fun today. Hello to everyone. We'll have some fun today. We're gonna have some fun days? Yeah. All right, let's walk closer. So Daisy is my Barred Plymouth Rock chicken, and you see that her little downy chicken feathers are now turning into adult feathers. So that will help keep her warm. In the meantime, she stays under a heating light so she can stay warm. Hot days. All right, let's go back. All right, come on. Earth Day is on April 22nd. And this is actually, in 2020, the 50th anniversary of celebrating Earth Day. So since we're all stuck at home, I thought we could do some special artwork, recycled artwork, that we can hang in our windows to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. So I want you to join me in that project in talking about the little things we do every day to help save the Earth.
What Does It Mean to Be Green? By Raina de Orio, illustrated by Chris Blair. What does it mean to be green? Does it mean being good with plants? No. Does it mean feeling sick in the car? No. Does it mean looking like a frog or a pickle or an alien? No. Being green means turning the lights on in your home only when you need them. Eating foods grown locally or even from your own garden. Walking to the park instead of getting a ride in a car. Packing your lunch in containers you bring home every day. Enjoying your ice cream in a cone rather than in a paper cup with a plastic spoon. Picking up trash that isn't yours and putting it in the garbage. Putting bottles, cans, plastic, and paper into recycling bins. Using your food scraps to make fertilizer for your garden. Collecting rainwater instead of using a hose. Drawing on 2 sides of your paper instead of just one. Giving the clothes you've outgrown to someone smaller than you. Wearing your pajamas one more time before washing them. Turning off the water while you brush your teeth. Thinking of new ways to conserve. Reminding grown-ups to be green too. Being green means doing whatever we can to protect the Earth's precious resources. It means understanding that each minute 100 acres of rainforest are being cut down. One bus carries as many people as 40 cars. 1/3 of the water used in most homes is flushed down the toilet. If all our newspapers were recycled, we could save about 250 million trees each year. That's a lot of trees. Recycling 1 glass bottle saves enough energy to light a 100-watt bulb for 4 hours. Your food travels an average of 1,500 miles to be on your plate. So tell your friends what it means to be green, and spread the word. If we can all be green, we can save the world.
That story that Maddie just read had me really thinking about ways that we can be green in our household. So some of the things that the Francis family does is we use recyclable grocery bags. So anytime we go to the grocery, we don't use disposable plastic bags or paper bags that they give us. We also reuse things, so we repurpose them to make other objects or use them as different objects. And lastly, one thing we really do is composting. So I'm going to share with you the different types of composting we do as we explore and wonder about ways that we can all be a little more green. So this right here is my worm factory. This worm factory is worm composting, which is known as vermicomposting. And what that is it's a composting bin, but they call it an upward migrating composting bin because you see I have these stacks here, and as a stack gets full, like the bottom stack, the worms will migrate up to the top so I can get a lot more compost. Migrate means to move from one part of something to another. This is also really nice because this lid fits right on top of the compost pile, so I don't get bugs like sometimes you get in the other in the other composters. Now, this usually lives out in my garage. You can see it's filthy dirty, but it is a house for worms. So it tells me what the ideal temperature is to keep my worms at, and foods that they like and foods that they don't like to eat, and how I take care of my bin. So when I open this up, you'll see I have a piece of paper. It's an old newspaper, and it's really damp, and that just helps keep the moisture, because the worms do like moisture. And as you will see, I have lots of stuff in here. Now, I found something really cool, and it is a plant growing in here, which typically doesn't happen. I have no idea what this is, but clearly it was a seed from something. So it could have been an apple seed. It could have been some kind of a bean. I have no clue what this is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig this out. I'm going to try to get down to the roots. Now, you cannot see this, but I have tons of baby worms around here. This bin has, woo, now this is really grown. This is really, really in there pretty deep. And that's why I don't want to pull it, because if I pull it, what's going to happen is I'm going to lose the plant. So I'm trying to see if I can feel. No, I can't see what it came from. So here is the plant, if you can see that. I'm going to actually try to replant this. So that'll be a fun little project. So I'm going to put that plant aside. I'm going to pull that out. All right, so in here you see we have banana peels. We have coffee grounds and the coffee filters, which these coffee filters are compostable. So the worms will just eat these too. And if you see, there's actually a worm right here crawling across this. So they were munching on that. So the worms don't really typically like to be disturbed, but we're going to disturb them today. So I'm going to see if I can get a really big worm. So this is a nice big fat adult worm. Now, these are not as big as the night crawlers or the earthworms that we find typically outside. Now, you will find some red worms outside in your yard, but typically you'll have the night crawlers or earthworms. So these are red worms. And these worms are really good at composting. Those earthworms aren't so great at eating food scraps, so they will not do as great of a job as these guys do. Now, here's the interesting thing is I see there's lots of this stuff in here, and it has not been eaten. And the reason it hasn't been eaten is because it's not compostable. So it looks like we shredded up maybe some credit cards, and the worms ate all that paper that we shredded along with them, but they did not eat this plastic stuff. So they're really good. Well, we're not so good at telling what the difference between compostable and non-compostable things are. The worms are really good at it, and they just won't eat it. So I'm gonna have to go through here and pick out all this stuff that they won't eat, and I'll have to put it in my recycling bin if it's a recyclable material. So I'm gonna put those aside. So as you can see, these worms are really busy making this beautiful organic material that I'm going to use to plant my vegetables this spring. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lid back on here like this, and I will pull out that non-compostable stuff later, and I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. This right here that looks like dirt is actually worm castings, which is a fancy word for worm poop. I basically have no worms in here. I have a couple of worms who haven't gone up through the holes here, but this now is all composted, and it was the layer below. So I'm going to pick this worm out, and there's another worm I see over here on the side. And the reason I don't want them in there is because when I use this soil, I want the worms to stay alive and keep working in their compost for me. So I'm going to put him in there. And I'm going to put this back on top of that so I can keep that soil for later. All right, so this is a dirty job, that somebody has to do it. And it's the worms, not me. So we talked about vermicomposting, which was using the energy of the worms to compost. And this one actually uses the energy of the decomposing organic waste to compost. So we can use this all year round because it's insulated, and also that means that it's rodent proof, so you can have it in your yard and not have to worry about animals getting in. So if I open this up, I'm going to show you that we have been composting all of this organic waste for quite a while. So you still see chunks in there, so it's not quite ready to be used in our garden, and not like that the soil, the castings that we saw from the worms. And the third type of composting that the Francis family does is composting just our yard waste. So you see it's just in this wooden fenced in area, and if you look at the top, you can see we have grass clippings, we have some of the old grasses from last year, ornamental grasses and everything. And what happens is this fresh stuff on the top creates weight and heat for what's decomposing below. So I want you to come look below, and you see all of this rich, dark soil is what has been composting over the years, right? And you see it comes right out. So this is really fertile soil that is great for plantings. But we don't have to worry about rodents getting into this because they don't want yard waste like they would want the food waste. Now that we've talked about and thought about different ways that we can be green, let's make an Earth Day poster that we can share from our house windows. So you see I'm using here an old Amazon box that we had something shipped to our house in, and that is going to be the poster board. I'm also going to use my watercolor paints, some crayons, and some markers. And then I'm also going to use some paper that I tore out of a magazine that I'd been collecting to make a collage, and I thought I would add that to my Earth Day poster. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to write hashtag Earth Day at home on the bottom of my poster, because again, we're not going out to celebrate Earth Day at Beechwood Farms like my family typically does. This time we're going to have to stay in our yard. I'm going to begin my poster by tracing a flower cookie cutter, and I'm going to have that be my globe instead of just normal, round shaped earth. I'm going to create an earth that's a flowered shape because I love flowers and plants. So I'm going to paint it blue and green, the blue representing the water and the green representing land on our earth. Now that I've painted my flower-shaped earth, I'm going to add some magazine pieces for clouds and a sun. And then I think that maybe I'll color some earth brown for some soil and add a few worms, because we all know how much I love worms. And a couple more flowers just drawn on. And then last but not least, some trees. I'm going to make this one a big oak tree and put some acorns down at the bottom. And now my poster is ready to hang.
Jim Henson's Sid the Science Kid, Earth Day Fun, by Jennifer France. Guess what? Said Sid. Dad and I are doing something extra cool after school today. We're planting a tree, and not just any tree. It is a brand new baby tree. Dad says trees are good for our planet Earth. Plus, we get to play in the dirt. Mom doesn't always like it when I play in the dirt. It gets on my clothes and toys, and sometimes on the walls. But dirt can't help getting things dirty. What is in dirt anyway? Good morning, Sid, said Mom. Morning, said Sid. Mom, I was just wondering, why don't you like dirt? I like dirt fine when it's outside, said Mom. Did you know that there are many kinds of dirt? There is potting soil, said Mom. There is the dirt in our yard, and there is desert dirt, which is mostly made of sand. Dad bought potting soil to use when you plant your tree. It's dirt for planting things. Cool, said Sid. I'll dig into this more at school. At school, Sid found his friends. Hey guys, said Sid. What do you think is in dirt? I know, said Gabriella. Dirt has stuff in it that is good for plants and trees. Dirt has worms in it, said May. I saw one and I named it Mortimer. I know all about dirt, said Gerald. I play in dirt piles a lot. Dirt is full of tiny rocks. Good answers, said Sid. In class, Sid told Teacher Susie about the tree he would plant. My dad says it's Earth Day, he said. It sure is, Teacher Susie said. And we can make every day Earth Day by taking care of our planet. We need to take care of the trees, said Gerald. And the animals, said Gabriella. And the oceans, said May. Right on, said Teacher Susie. We need to keep dirt clean too. Dirt, or soil, is very important. Let's find out why in the Super Fab Lab. What makes soil so important? Asked Teacher Susie. Trees grow in soil, said Sid. Vegetables do too, said May. Like spinach. Yuck, said Gerald. Very good, dirt detectives. Now let's find out what's in soil. Dirt Detective Sid and his friends took a close look at their soil. The soil is all different colors, said Gabriella, but I found a plastic straw too, she said. That doesn't belong in soil, so I recycled it. I saw bits of leaves and twigs, said Sid, and a cool-looking worm. I put him back in the dirt. Worms are good for the soil, said Teacher Susie. I'm proud of all of you. You know a lot about keeping the earth healthy. Next, the kids had a birthday party for the earth. I'll be the earth, said Gerald. Make a birthday wish, said May. I wish to be clean, said Gerald. We can all help, said Sid. I can walk more places so we don't use the car so much, said Gabriella. And I can recycle, said May. We can do a lot to help the earth. When Sid got home, he and Dad planted the baby tree. Trees make the earth happy, said Sid, and healthy soil helps baby trees grow into big trees. Caring for the earth feels good, plus it is fun to get dirty.
Well, I hope you had fun on our Earth Day adventure, and I don't know if you can see this, but it's actually snowing in April. Oh my goodness. It is time to say goodbye to all my friends. It is time to say goodbye to all my friends. It is time to say goodbye. Give a smile and wink your eye. Yes, it's time to say goodbye to all my friends. Yeehaw! I can't wait to see your Earth Day posters.